About the civil disobedience movement. So, in this topic, we will study about the Gandhiji's 11 demands, then we will study about the Dandi March, then civil disobedience movement, then what was the impact of this agitation of the civil disobedience movement, then we will study about the first roundtable conference, then Gandhi-Irwin Pact, and Karachi session of Congress, then second roundtable conference and third roundtable conference. Okay, so first let's start with Gandhiji's 11 demands. So to carry forward the mandate given by the Lahore Congress, Gandhi presented 11 demands to the government and gave an ultimatum of 31 January 1930, that is 31st January 1930, to accept or reject these demands. So we know that the Lahore session of Congress was there, and in this Lahore session of Congress, Gandhiji after this Lahore session of Congress, Gandhiji presented 11 demands to the government and gave an ultimatum of 31st January 1930. And after that, so what was the demands? What were the demands? So the 11 demands were to reduce expenditure on army and civil services by 50%. Then introduce a total prohibition, that is prohibit the sale of liquor. Okay, so reduce expenditure on army and civil services by 50%, then introduce total prohibition, then carry out reforms in criminal investigation department, that is a CID. So this was the demands. Actually, these were 11 demands which were put forward by Gandhiji, and Gandhiji gave an ultimatum to the government that either you accept this 11 demands or else we will launch a movement. So the first one was to reduce expenditure on army and civil services. Second was to introduce total prohibition, that is ban of liquor. Then carry out reforms in criminal investigation department, that is CID. Then change Arms Act, allowing popular control of issue of firearms license. That is, the demand was to change the Arms Act. Then release of political prisoners. Then accept postal reservation bill. So these 11 demands are very important. Okay, then reduce rupee sterling exchange ratio for promotion of trade, and then introduce a textile protection, then reserve coastal shipping for Indians, then reduce land revenue by 50%, and abolish tax and government's salt monopoly. Abolish salt tax and government's salt monopoly. So these were the 11 demands which were put forward by Gandhiji. So these 11 demands are very important. You can pause the lesson and you can write it down in your copy and memorize this, because this may be a question in our exam. So when Gandhiji put forward this 11 demands, the government did not respond. So with no positive response forthcoming from the government on these demands, the Congress Working Committee invested Gandhi with full powers to launch the Civil Disobedience Movement, that is CDM. So the Congress Working Committee gave Gandhiji the full power to launch a movement, that is a civil disobedience movement. So Gandhiji, along with a band of 78 members, that is 78 co-workers of Sabarmati Ashram, was to march from his headquarters in Ahmedabad through the villages of Gujarat for 240 miles and reach Dandi. Okay, so the historic march marking the launch of civil disobedience movement began on 12th March, and Gandhi broke the salt law by picking up a handful of salt at Dandi on 6th April. Okay, so Gandhiji started this civil disobedience movement by going to Dandi, that is carrying out this Dandi march. So he walked for 240 miles and went to the coast of Gujarat. That is, he reached the place of Dandi, and then at Dandi he broke the salt law, that is the salt monopoly of government. And with this Dandi march, with the disobeying the law of salt, he launched the movement, that is civil disobedience movement. So civil disobedience movement started after Dandi march. So Gandhiji gave the following directions for future action, that is for the civil disobedience movement. Now formally the civil disobedience movement was inaugurated after the Dandi march, after the breaking of salt law at Dandi. So after this Gandhiji gave future directions to the satyagrahis. So what were these directions? So the directions were wherever possible civil disobedience movement wherever possible, the civil disobedience of the salt law should be started. So first direction was to start the civil disobedience of the salt law. Then foreign liquor and cloth shops can be picketed. Then refuse to pay taxes. If you don't pay taxes, government won't be able to function. That was his motto. Then the next direction was lawyers can give up practice. So these were the directions which were given by Gandhiji. So here you can see how Gandhiji broke the salt law by picking up the salt from Dandi. Then the next direction was public can boycott law courts by refraining from litigations. That is, don't go to the law courts. Then government servants can resign from their posts. Then all this should be subjected to one condition, and the condition was truth and non-violence as means to attain Swaraj should be faithfully adhered to. That is, you should be truthful and there should be no violence. Ahimsa, that is non-violence. So this was the condition, this was the only condition. Okay, so local leader should be obeyed after Gandhiji's arrest. So these were the directions which Gandhiji gave after breaking the salt law at Dandi, and the civil disobedience movement was formally started. So people also started violating the laws. So after arrest of many national leaders along with Nehru and Gandhiji at Yerwada jail evoked massive protest in many parts of the country. So Gandhiji was arrested after the Dandi march, and Jawaharlal Nehru, he was also arrested after this Dandi march, and then massive protest evoked in many parts of country. So the few noteworthy incidents were like the Chittagong, the Surya Sen's Chittagong revolt group carried out a raid on 2 armories and declared the establishment of a provisional government. Okay. Then at Peshawar, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, he is also called as Badshah Khan or Frontier Gandhi. Okay, Badshah Khan or Frontier Gandhi. So he started the first Pushto monthly Pakhtun. This was a monthly, that is the newspaper, but it was published on a monthly basis. So he organized a volunteer brigade that was called Khudai Khidmatgars, and it was popularly known as Red Shirts. So they were pledged to the freedom struggle and non-violence. And Ghaffar Khan was awarded Bharat Ratna in 1987 by the government of India. So here you can see Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan with his red shirts, the Khudai Khidmatgars. Okay. So in Solapur, this industrial town of southern Maharashtra, that is Solapur, saw the fiercest response to Gandhiji's arrest. Textile workers went on a strike and along with other residents burnt liquor shops. They destroyed symbols of government authority such as railway stations, police stations, municipal buildings, law courts, and etc. And in Assam, the powerful agitation was organized against the infamous Cunningham Circular. What was this Cunningham Circular? The Cunningham Circular forced parents, guardians, and students to furnish assurances of good behavior. That is, they needed to give assurance to the government that they will their wards or their children will behave good. Okay, so this was the Cunningham Circular. So there were massive protests in Assam against this Cunningham Circular. Then in Manipur and Nagaland also there were massive protests. So at the young age of 13, Rani Gaidinliu of Nagaland raised the banner of revolt against the foreign rule. So this was a question in previous year's exam about, they had asked about Rani Gaidinliu, and there were 3-4 statements given where she belonged from, where did he participated, what was her contribution. Okay, so she was captured in 1932 and sentenced to life imprisonment. Rani Gaidinliu, okay, from Nagaland. Then what was the impact of all this agitation, of all this civil disobedience movement? So imports of foreign clothes and other items fell. Then government income from liquor, excise and land revenue also fell down. Okay, then elections to legislative assemblies were largely boycotted. Then every section of society, as students, women, tribals, merchants and petty traders, workers and peasants, took active part in this civil disobedience movement. So you should remember what was actual impact of this civil disobedience movement, because this may also be a question in our exam, and they may ask you about what was the actual impact of the civil disobedience movement and which groups participated into this civil disobedience movement. Okay, so try to remember this thing. So although Muslims participated, but their participation was nowhere near the 1920 or 1922 level, because of appeals by Muslim leaders to stay away from the movement and because of active government encouragement to communal dissension. Okay, so Muslim participation reduced as compared to the non-cooperation movement in 1920-22. Okay, so this was the impact of civil disobedience movement. So a round table conference was organized. Actually, there were 3 round table conferences. So we are going to study about that, what was the background and what impact did this round table conference had. So this was the first ever conference arranged between the British and Indians as equals. Okay, so this was the first conference ever arranged between the Britishers and Indians as equals. So while the Congress and most business leaders boycotted the first roundtable conference, the Muslim League, the Hindu Mahasabha and liberals and princes attended it. So remember this, the Congress boycotted the first roundtable conference, but the Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, the liberals and the princes attended this first roundtable conference. So virtually every delegate reiterated that a constitutional discussion to which the Congress was not a party was meaningless. They demanded that Congress should participate into the first roundtable conference or the roundtable conference. Unless and until Congress does not participate into the roundtable conference, all these parties, all these leaders said that it is of no use unless and until Congress participates in the discussion of the constitutional discussion. Okay. So Ambedkar demanded separate electorates for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. So in the first roundtable conference, Ambedkar demanded the separate electorate for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. So here you can see the first round table conference. So actually the Muslims already had the separate electorate, and on the same lines Ambedkar also, B.R. Ambedkar, he also demanded a separate electorate for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. So there was a pact between Gandhiji and Irwin. So on January 25, 1931, Gandhiji and all other members of the Congress working committees were released unconditionally. The Congress Working Committee authorized Gandhiji to initiate discussions with the Viceroy, which led to the famous Gandhi-Irwin Pact, or it is also called as Delhi Pact. So there was a pact between Gandhiji and Irwin, and Irwin on behalf of the government agreed on immediate release of all political prisoners not convicted of violence. So Irwin got ready, that he was ready to release all the political prisoners, then remission of all fines not yet collected, and then a return of all lands not yet sold to third parties, and lenient treatment to those government servants who had resigned, then right to make salt in coastal villages for personal consumption, that is not for sale. Right to make salt in coastal villages for personal consumption, not for sale, and a right to peaceful and non-aggressive picketing, and then withdrawal of emergency ordinances. So Irwin was ready to give all this according to the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. But the Viceroy Irwin, however, turned down two of Gandhiji's demands, and these demands were public inquiry into police excesses and commutation of Bhagat Singh and his comrades' death sentence to life sentence. Gandhiji wanted to commute the death sentence of Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru to life sentence, but Lord Irwin denied this demand of Gandhiji. So Gandhiji on behalf of Congress agreed to suspend the civil disobedience movement. So according to the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, the civil disobedience movement was suspended, and Gandhiji agreed to participate into the next round table conference. So the next round table conference was organized. So in March 1931, a special session of Congress was held at Karachi to endorse the Gandhi-Irwin or Delhi Pact. So in the Karachi session of Congress, the Gandhi-Irwin Pact was endorsed, and two resolutions were adopted which made the session memorable. And these two resolutions was, first was one on fundamental rights and the other on national economic program. How will be the fundamental rights of India, and how what will be the national economic program of India. So this was divided into this was decided into the Karachi session. So this was the first time the Congress spelled out what Swaraj would mean for the masses, that is for public. So in the Swaraj they will have fundamental rights, and in the Swaraj their economic condition will be taken care of. So the national economic program was designed. So the Karachi resolution formed the basic political and economic platform of the Congress in later years. So this was a basis, this was a formation of a ground for the economic and political program of Congress, which developed in later years. So second round table conference. So according to the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Gandhiji had agreed to attain this second round table conference. So the second round table conference which the Congress had agreed to attend under the Delhi Pact was held in London in December 1931. Okay, so Mahatma Gandhi participated in the conference but returned to India disappointed. He attended the second roundtable conference, but he did not gain anything from this second roundtable conference, and no agreement could be reached on the demand of complete independence and on the communal question, because government was thinking to award the government was thinking to give the separate electorate for the depressed classes and others also. So that's why. And now after the Lahore session of Congress, the Congress had demanded complete independence, that is Purna Swaraj. Now it was the aim of Congress to attain Purna Swaraj. So that is the reason why Gandhiji participated into second roundtable conference, and he thought that there will be some compromise on the complete independence, but no agreement could be reached on the demand of complete independence and on the communal question in the second roundtable conference. So what was the result of this second roundtable conference? In 1932, the civil disobedience movement was resumed again. After the second roundtable conference, Gandhiji got to know that there is no use of this roundtable conference and we are not going to get anything from this roundtable conference. So again in 1932, the Gandhi-Irvine Pact was broken and the civil disobedience movement was resumed, that is launched again, and government again arrested Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel. So, and they reimposed the ban on Congress party. So Congress party was again banned. So again the third roundtable conference was organized. So Congress did not take participation in this third roundtable conference. Congress did not take part in it. So it was held in 1932. So in 1933, a British government issued a white paper which became the basis for the enactment of the Government of India Act 1935. And finally, in April 1934, Gandhi decided to withdraw the civil disobedience movement, because now the masses were tired and they were not able, masses were also losing their hope, and so that's why Gandhiji decided to withdraw the civil disobedience movement, because we have already seen that masses have their limitations for participating into any kind of movement, and that's why Gandhiji knew this thing, the strength and weakness of masses. So it was a long time now, so that's why Gandhiji decided to withdraw the civil disobedience movement. So here is the third roundtable conference, and the leader who participated in all the three roundtable conferences was B.R. Ambedkar. Okay, so this was a question in many exams, that is which was the leader who participated in all three roundtable conferences, and it is B.R. Ambedkar. So remember this. Okay, this may be a question. So that's all about this lesson. In our next lesson, we are going to study about the communal award which was given after the roundtable conferences. So there were differences between Baba Sahib Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi. So in next lesson we are going to study about that. Till then, stay tuned.